Hello and welcome to my nature diaries. As I nature journal these grape hyacinths, I'm also going to share with you some tips on how you can make more interesting layouts in your nature journal. Number one is change up your layout orientation. Instead of a landscape layout, I'm going to turn it to its side and make a portrait layout. And this is really an exaggerated portrait layout, and that can be interesting in itself. Turning your nature journal like this and changing up the layout forces the viewer to engage with your art even a little more by having to turn it around and view the art, your beautiful art, in a different perspective. So try this for something unique. Number two, go big with your art. I especially like trying this kind of method when I have a flower or a plant that has more interesting flowers and not the foliage so much, but I want to really emphasize the small and delicate features of each of the blossoms. I just go big and I let it fill up that white page and let it be the focal point of the whole layout. Number three, paint dynamic backgrounds. This is one of my most favorite and I think easiest tips, is to really have fun with those backgrounds for your nature journal. It's so easy because you're just using paint to create all these textures and maybe brush strokes, dimensions, and you can really create a lot of depth and feeling, emotion, movement with a dynamic background. I think the biggest lesson I've learned is to try to match the background with the plant or flower that you're showcasing. You don't want your background to be more prevalent or to compete with whatever it is that you are painting. Because these flowers are soft and delicate, I'm using a little bit of a softer and more delicate and subtle background, but still dynamic, because you're going to see some movement. And even when I put some splatters here, you're going to feel like it's interesting to look at. And this is super important when you are creating your nature journal layouts. You want the viewer to engage and to stay on the page as long as possible, to look and read and maybe even learn something about those plants or flowers that you are nature journaling. To further emphasize the background, I made sure I put a white border, and that really makes that background pop. Number four, paint outside the lines. I really love my white borders, but I decided to do something different to make it more interesting. And this time I made the flowers go off the white border, almost like they were laying across the page. And maybe I got that idea when I was laying the plant against the white paper. It just felt right, and I think it makes a more interesting composition overall. So a good thing is to repeat some things that you do in your nature journal, but also switch things up once in a while, and that will help create interest, and it'll help alleviate boredom as well when you're creating your nature journal. Number five, use mixed media. I've actually made quite a few videos about mixed media, and in this one I'm just going to be showing you that I'm using ink with a dip pen, micron, and then later on a gel pen to accomplish what I want in my nature journal. There's no doubt that mixing your art supplies and materials really creates much interest when somebody's looking at your layout. Using other tools can also be time savers and help you nature journal more, because you really want to make art as often as possible. So look at these other materials when you're creating your nature journal layout as an option. I do have other videos on how to use mixed media in your nature journal to make it much more interesting, so make sure to check those out as well. Number six, vary your text size. When I started my very first nature journal, I realized as I look back now that I didn't vary my text size or my lettering very much. I'd look at it and think something isn't the way I want it to be. And as I looked at Pinterest, Instagram, and other journalers in general, I realized that it was that varied text size that makes a layout much more interesting to look at. I also realized that because I have a strong visual memory, that creating a large title allowed me to recall the image, the flower, the plant much more easily when I saw it out in nature itself. I also like to create some more bold lettering at the beginning of a paragraph, and I feel like it's another way to kind of break up the monotony of the same size and spacing of your text. In my opinion, it's also a way to pull and draw the viewer in to wanting to read what you wrote because you've written it in an interesting and creative way. If you've been inspired in any way, please make sure you like, comment, of course, subscribe, and share the video. And I really appreciate you watching to the end and all your super kind comments as well. And as always, remember that you are amazing and creative. Till next time, bye.